Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Daily Vox's weekly hangouts, talking all things student politics, student leadership, student movements. This week, we are speaking to the newly elected Wits SRC Treasurer and Secretary General. We're talking to Fasiha, who's the SG, and Karabo, who's the TG. And today we're talking women in politics, specifically because for the first time in history at Wits University, that we have a female-dominated executive. So the president of the SRC is a female student, the TG is a female student, and the Secretary General is a female student. I think there can't be another time when such things happen, and I believe that it will create a conversation around women in politics and what does this mean for the university to be in the hands of very fierce ladies. Welcome, Karabo and Fasiha.
Hi, Pontsho. Thank you for having us.
No, it's thank you for joining us. So I just want to start by saying you guys are part of history. How does that feel? How do you feel about it? What are your personal thoughts on being part of history?
Well, clearly it's a thing, hey. For me, it's. I don't know. I saw it coming. I expected it. So
wow. Why, if I may ask?
I see it's a thing, and I should say I'm really honored and humbled that actually everyone out there appreciated what we've achieved at Wits. So yeah, basically that's my feeling towards it.
So Karabo, you said you saw it coming. What makes you say that you saw it coming?
I mean, in the Progressive Youth Alliance, we have capable women. It didn't come as a surprise when we were called to actually lead in SRC. So it's more like we've been waiting for the moment to actually dominate exec as females, because we've been capable, we've been working under structures, we've been contributing much. And I think we're very deserving. I think it's not a thing for me. I'm very happy to see that Pontsho, it actually caught your attention as well. I'm happy, but I'm just saying that we expected it. It was obvious.
Oh, that's good. Just before I get to Fasiha and answering the question, I would like to apologize profusely to our viewers for the bad connection. I think there's something wrong with Gmail, like there was something wrong with Facebook yesterday. So we really apologize for the bad connection. But Fasiha, how does that make you feel in your personal capacity?
Well, it's a bit different for me than for Karabo. It's a bit surreal. It actually doesn't feel real. As much as we're in these positions, I think I'm more concerned about, yes, we're here now, but we have a lot more to prove. I think we're all quite aware that women are judged more harshly in most spaces than men. And so because we're more of a female-dominated exec, we know that there's a lot more work that we need to do. There's a lot more we need to prove. So I'm a little bit nervous, but I'm still very excited. And I'm very, very happy to be part of this amazing team, that really is going to start changing the tone for women in these spaces.
And so you're saying that you're excited about being in a team that will change the tone. What is the change that you want to bring to the SRC? Are they plans or priorities that you have for female students at Wits? What are your plans so far, if you've thought that far?
Well, that's definitely on the agenda. I don't want to give too much away, but it's definitely discussions that we've started to have. We're hoping to empower different organizations on campus, try and sort of facilitate female leadership in the various different organizations, because we know that it can't just be one organization that has women leading. We need to have it on a grassroots level, and I think that for us, the substantive change, less the formal one, more of a substantive one, is definitely going to be one of our big projects throughout the year.
Karabo, let's just talk briefly about how male-dominated student politics usually are. What are the challenges that you have faced as a female student running in these structures, in these political circles on a student level? What are the challenges that you face, and how do you see yourself or other women overcoming them in the future?
Well, for me, I should say that, like I said, I just want to make clear that I do say that there is really no pressure felt from my side. So I think for women, we have a problem. Most problems that we face are around the fact that men have always dominated the space, the political space. So we're dealing with that issue altogether because now that we're in, like Fas said, she feels like we have a lot to prove, which for me, we've been proving all along. You know, like I said, we're a bit different on that issue. So mostly as a woman, when you get into politics, you expected. What was funny for me, I'm just going to speak from my personal experience. You just get into this space and you suddenly feel the need to change, become more masculine, and actually, as an attempt to prove yourself and your capabilities as a woman. So you get to a point where you actually even start to change how you do certain things, or even as a matter of fact, how you speak, to just feel that you fit in. Suddenly, I don't know, you try to do so much to transform yourself, to be accepted by these spaces, to lead in these spaces. So I think as women moving forward now, we need to firstly pick our struggles now. We need to pick that, fine, we are women, we were put in these positions. We have to do what we've been doing, not what is expected, what we've been doing, just to make sure that we empower more women in politics. So we shouldn't actually accept this challenge, this struggle that seems to be happening. That no, women should prove themselves more. When you're into office, they're looking up and saying, no, it's a female now, like being the first female treasurer. They're expecting much more. Like, okay, Karabo, now it's you. What are you going to do? I think you're going to be different to men. How are you going to handle it? You know. So for me, I'm saying that it's not a challenge. Actually, when I realized that I was the first female treasurer, it clicked in.
Wow, I didn't know that.
I'm the first. Okay. Challenge accepted. So I think we need to pick, as women, we really need to pick our struggles. Like, we shouldn't feel the heat or feel the need to actually prove ourselves more than men, or actually to clear them or prove ourselves more, to just make sure that we are also capable. We should pick our struggles.
Okay, let's talk about the Progressive Youth Alliance, which is a partnership between different political and non-political organizations within the university. For example, it's part of the ANC Youth, PYA is made out of the ANC Youth League, MSA, and SASCO. Let's talk about the recent ANC Youth League elections. You know, once the ANC had ANC Youth League had re-established itself, there was a lot of concern concerning the fact that only one woman was in the executive. How do you then see what is happening on campus move beyond campus and into the national dialogue and national discourse around including women in politics? And just before you answer that, I see that the president, Pulo is the new.
How are you?
President.
I'm good.
We're just talking about
What is
now that there are women in power. So I was just, I think her connection is bad because she just dropped out of the link. Anyway, going back to you, Karabo and Fasiha, how do you see the what's happening at Wits, like, happen beyond Wits and on a national level, on a provincial level, and how do you see women becoming more involved, and I don't want to say being given or being allowed the space to become leaders, but what do you think about the underrepresentation of women within the ANC Youth League and within the ANC structure as a national and ruling government and party?
Well, I think I'll contribute first, and I'm sure Karabo will also have thoughts thereafter. But mine really, and I think it leads on from your previous question around PYA and how do we really get women involved, beyond a university level. And for me, really, it's about taking women when they're young, they've just entered a university space, let's immerse them in the various different sort of industries, politics being one of them, take them through the journey. And I think it's also about allowing strong women. difficulty there. And I'm really hoping that it's an incremental change. Not something that will happen overnight. You know, historically we've had issues with women representation in the past, and this is something we're going to battle for a long time. But we've definitely done this forward.
I think.
Yes, Karabo, please go.
Okay, I think just adding on to what Fas said, I think now as women, firstly we need to also be like see that we are capable. I mean, it starts with you. Okay, I'm capable of this. I don't need gender quotas to actually support me. You know. Now we're speaking of women that, as a woman, you see yourself fit and proper and actually capable to lead in various structures. So automatically, when you have that mentality, when you groom yourself through different leading different structures, you get to a point where you do realize that you are capable, and in fact it's not a favor. So we don't even need to fight for the 60-40 quota, but just by working, continue to work as we do.
But is it really just about working hard? Do you think it's, you know, because this is just to just juxtapose this to racism or like affirmative action. A lot of people will say that, oh, Black people need to work harder in order to be able to come into these positions. Is it really just about working harder, or is the political industry, if I could call it that, very sexist and masculine and patriarchal, and it doesn't is not willing to let go of some of the power and give it to women?
You know, Pontsho, I must be honest in this conversation, and I think it is very patriarchal. I do think obviously we have to work hard and we do have to push. And I'm speaking from my own experience. Perhaps I've had different experiences to Karabo, but you can work as hard as you can. You can arrive first and leave last, but you're still judged on a different set of rules. As a woman, I definitely feel that there's a different set of rules that applies to me and doesn't apply to a man. In fact, I just was discussing with Karabo earlier, if a woman rises to a very high political position, the automatic assumption by some people is, oh, she must have slept around to get it. Not that she's capable, not that she's the best that she can be. Oh, she must have slept around. Whereas the man, when he rises to the same position, oh, well done, you deserve it. So there are definite structural issues, I think. But it's not a space where we haven't entered. It's not something that we can't sort of overthrow. I think there's definite women who are very, very much changing the space, changing the tone, like I said. And I don't think that the NCS itself is not allowing women to lead. I think there are opportunities. It's also about us taking that step forward, being strong and not being apologetic as well.
Okay. Yeah, maybe I don't know. But
okay, yes, Karabo?
Yeah, I don't know, but for me, like I'm saying, I think I emphasized that I do pick the struggles that I actually fight. So I think with that being said, Fasiha is actually correct in saying that in most instances you come across that, but that is just petty politics again. I mean, as women, I know most women, you so focused on getting the things that on getting whatever you are planning to do right. You're so focused on the mandates that you've got from your organization and focused on actually empowering more women that you don't have time to even entertain the petty politics. For me, I think yes, we'll always have those saying, no, you actually got certain things, or you actually paid a certain amount or a certain rental amount to get where you are. But in most cases, it's not the case. So I choose to actually dim that side and look on the other side and push what we need to do to get more women into this space.
So Karabo, you personally say that you've picked your struggle. So what is the struggle that you've picked now that you're in this very influential position? What is the struggle that you will take forward into your term as treasurer?
For me, as a treasurer and being a female treasurer, I think what I'm going to do is simple. We've been having our treasurer office. It's really a controversial office. We've always gotten attacks. We've always gotten different, if I may say, I'll call it rumors or gossip that actually there's mismanagement and certain issues surrounding that office. In that office. So as a woman, I'm saying that we will show that maybe, I'm not saying we're about to prove that, we will prove that as a woman taking up such a responsibility or such an office, you can do it better. I mean, you've got the integrity that's needed. I've got the integrity that's needed. And for me, I think it will be empowering for women, instead it will be empowering for other women to see that actually during our term as the female exec, like we're trending as, we were able to actually change the game in politics, or actually in Wits SRC. So let's have a different SRC this year, not an ordinary SRC, an extraordinary SRC of dominated by females, which will only be focusing on us pushing forward struggles of women. Being, if you feel uncomfortable, if you feel that you need to do more in politics, we just need to now prove all that wrong. We need to get out there, and then we need to work hard to actually ensure that people see that actually women are capable, so that next year it's not a thing when we have another female executive.
Yeah. Let's talk. You know, there's been, since the beginning of the year, there's been roadmaps for Open Stellenbosch and Transform Wits, right? Let's talk about this term, decolonize the university, decolonize campuses, right? Simamkele Dlagavu wrote a beautiful piece in independent newspapers about decolonization is nothing if it doesn't have, if we also don't decolonize patriarchy within academia. So how do you see those two things going together within student movements? Do you think one should be prioritized over the other, or can that be a fight that can be taken forward together? As in more female lecturers, more inclusive and more diverse curriculum in all fields. Where do you see it going? Where do you see the relationship between the two going?
Well, I think what you've sort of already alluded to it, sort of colonization, or rather the decolonization thereof. It's not just about race. That's one of the elements that we're looking at. Language is a big one. In terms of feminism and allowing female Black people to be in those spaces is another one. I think that if we're going to look at it in isolation, we're making a mistake. Because decolonizing is not just pulling down a statue or changing the name of a building. That might be on a very superficial level, but we need to be talking serious, substantive sort of transformation that we're doing in a space where we're going to build on it, you know? So that means giving more opportunities to Black academics to then go into academia. That's the first step. But the second step is also facilitating the next round, because we can put in, let's say, several hundred academics who are Black in a bit space. But how do we know that's going to be carried through in the next 10 years? It can't just be to pay lip service to people, and it can't just be, yes, transformation is a trendy topic. It's definitely incredibly important. In fact, I'm very glad of it. But we need to make sure that we're transforming the right things and for the right reasons as well.
For you as the incoming SRC, what does transformation at Wits look like?
Okay, so wow, that's a big one.
Yeah.
I think we can deal with it on various levels. We spoke about academics, but I think one of the bigger ones for me personally is also transformation of the curriculum, because you go into a space where a lot of people come to a university to sort of liberate themselves from the socioeconomic background, right? Education being one of the easier, well, not easier, but one of the more useful ways to do it, rather. And if they're going into a space where curriculum is very wide, very colonized, how then do we expect to change mentalities? How then can we actually change the future moving forward, the youth and that kind of thing? So for me, one of the bigger ones is curriculum. Yes, we spoke about the changing of names. That's in the plans. But for me, like I say, it's more about the substantive stuff, more about the long-term kind of transformation. But I think, Karabo, you have views on it as well. Pontsho, I think we might have lost.
Do you have anything to add in turn? Okay, let's ask about transformation
as well. But we have the, like the question was, how does it look at Wits? We have a long road to go. I'm sorry, I tried fitting you, and I'm a bit sick, so I tried to actually make a bit of time, but I'm not feeling okay right now. I might have to leave you in a bit, but I hope to have this conversation with you again. On transformation particularly, I think we have a lot that we need to work on, and we'll be in contact with students, we'll be alerting students, we'll be working on different challenges that we've drawn up. As you've seen from our manifesto, we've jotted down all the things that we need to transform. So it's just a matter of time. Our term in office will determine how much of those we can actually achieve.
And Fasiha, you were on the SRC this year, and I just want to ask, was Transform Wits ever on the SRC's radar? Were you guys working with them? What is the relationship between the student leadership at the university and the movement Transform Wits?
Okay, well, Transform Wits, we've had a lot of contact with them, several meetings, we've sat down, we're in full support of it. In fact, there was a bit of a debate at some point during our term, should the SRC be taking on a very frontline role, should we be trying to sort of lead the Transform Wits movement? And in the end, we decided that we wouldn't necessarily be the face of it, that let Transform Wits and other students occupy that space, but we're going to lend our full support and be on the front line, be on the picket line with them, but also give other students the opportunity. Yes, we're student leaders and we've been elected in, but I think it would be wrong to say we hold a monopoly over every single issue. Sometimes there's merit in understanding that a different student group can lead it with our full support and our full backing as we go along. And I think I would like to think that we've provided a lot of support to Transform Wits, and they're doing amazing work.
And just talking about transformation and all things student movements, there's a rise and solidarity with the workers at Wits, and the fact that a lot of the, not a lot, all of the workers are outsourced and they barely get minimum wage. And from what I've heard, there will be a big protest on the 6th of October. What is the involvement of the student leadership in terms of fighting for the rights and standing in solidarity with the outsourced workers as an impact and MJL workers that were fired earlier this year by the university?
Okay. Well, Pontsho, in fact, this is an excellent thing. In fact, I wanted to bring it up in this Transform issue. As the PYA and as the SRC, we've always had worker issues on the top of our list. Even before this October 6th movement, we've been attending meetings, we've been going through the process. We led the struggle with the MJL workers. So it's definitely something that we've got on our radar. We're very much against outsourcing. But of course, it's a difficult situation because when you're moving to an SRC space versus a PYA space, you're now in a governance position as opposed to just political leadership. So for us, the role is a little bit different now. It's about bringing up the issue at Senate. It's about bringing up the issue at council. It's about seeing how can we assist them in the governance position that we are, because the truth of the matter is that Wits is really not concerned for worker issues. They don't even want to recognize the existence of a worker solidarity committee. In fact, when we go into negotiations, we go under the name of SRC, not as the workers, just to give you an indication of how hostile the environment is. But that being said, it's definitely something we're going to the weekly meetings, we're involved with it, we're very excited for the October 6th movement. In fact, we encourage everyone, not just Witsies, please come and attend. This will hopefully be one of many marches and protests that we lead through on this issue.
And let's talk, it's that time of the year. The year's almost over, final exams are here, and you guys are going to be inundated with exclusions. Let's talk financial exclusions at the university. This year, you guys had the fundraiser where you tried to raise, you actually did raise the 1 million rand for students. What are the plans for, in terms of the NSFAS issue? Have you guys solved the issues or has the outgoing SRC solved the issues that caused what happened earlier this year with the marches and many students not being able to register on time?
Well, regarding that point, so as you know, NAFSIS, we had a contract with NAFSIS that all, remember, to start with, the issue was caused by the fact that NAFSIS had actually run out of funds. Are you here? Are we here?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, yeah. So it was an issue that NAFSIS could not actually afford the number of students that it had accepted to pay funds for. So the agreement with the university and the outgoing SRC was that they'll actually pay off all the remaining amounts of NAFSIS students. But however, moving forward, because we know the 1 million month was an urgent response, right? And I'll give a certificate of the constituent with that. So the humanitarian fund is always available. Now we're currently working again on a criteria. Humanitarian fund has been a fund that we put in place to assist students every year to actually pay off what we can as the SRC, what we able to raise and what we can pay off on what NEFSIS has paid already. So most students, when you look at it, when a student comes to the SRC for assistance, financial assistance, we have the humanitarian fund, which we are still now working on opening applications for, where we cover a certain amount of students outstanding. So I need to leave you here. I need to get going. I'm sorry.
Okay, thank you, Karabo, for joining us. I'll just wrap up with Fasiha and then we'll end the hangout. One last question for you, Fasiha. What will the relationship with the Vice Chancellor, Adam Habib, be like for the incoming SRC? I think we've seen with Project Hupu that students are not happy with the Vice Chancellor. Because you are elected by students, so you represent the views of the students, how are you as the SRC going to deal with the discontent that is there for Adam Habib by students at the university?
Well, I think being in a governance role, there's a lot of love-hate relationships with people in management. So there are times where we'll be at each other's throats, and there'll be other times where we support each other because, you know, we believe in the same sort of cause. So I think it's about towing that line, but it's also, you're quite right. We've been elected by students and we are answerable to students, not Adam Habib, not management, and not other sort of structures within the university, it's students themselves. And I think that the PYA has always had a reputation of giving a full mandate to that. We're not here to say yes ma'am, no ma'am to management. We're here to cause a little bit of trouble, but calculated trouble as well, in a sense that it's not unfocused, it's to get things done. And I quickly just want to talk about the 1 million 1 month, and you were talking about what are we going to do now. So through it, in fact, I'm not too sure if you're aware, but we've raised over 4.4 million rand through our 1 million 1 month campaign. And one of our ways to make it a bit more sustainable is we've actually ring-fenced 1.5 million of it to try and make our humanitarian fund an endowment fund. So it's going to be a lot more sustainable. It's going to be a proper model that we're going to be able to fund students with. On the issue of funding, yes.
Who's taking care of these funds? Is it the SRC? Who is in charge of all this money?
So it's mainly SRC, but we've managed to come to an agreement with the council of the university to get an investor. So we've got a proper expertise in terms of investing the money and making sure we're not making bad financial decisions. So we've got that, but it's really more a student-based kind of concept.
Okay. All right, Fasiha, thank you so much for spending time with us. We really appreciate it. And we look forward to seeing how you're going to change Wits and Girl Power. Thank you, everybody, for joining us at the Daily Vox Hangout. Next week, we'll have something more on student movements across South African campuses. And if you might have not heard yet, the Daily Vox is raising funds because we deserve to stay and we need to stay. So please check out our Facebook, our Twitter, and our website on how you can support the Daily Vox. If you want to make a small donation of however amount, we are willing to take anything from anyone of our viewers and readers. And from me, from the Daily Vox, we thank you and see you next week.